All right, you ready? It's good. Ditto. Okay, hey, last time I checked this, it was like before Battle for the Banner started, so it's like back in November before we did anything. Uh, so we're here. The pandemic is still running. Hope maybe
Does it
on its
ever
last
end?
legs. I don't know. It's fighting back.
Will it ever end? I just last night was chatting with Michael from T-Bun over in Malaysia, and
T-Bun. That's a name I haven't
yeah,
heard for a long
yeah,
time.
yeah. I have a lot of names that have popped up in the last couple of weeks of good old customers. I was talking about Andreas from Sweden as well, with one of our new buddies from EEG that lives in Sweden. I was talking about Andreas and Escape Gaming, but yeah, Malaysia is starting to lock down again, and again, we in America we've got to be conscious of the fact that while vaccines are rolling out here pretty steadily, they're not that available in other countries. And so, in order to fight the virus spreading, like the countries are going back into lockdowns in a lot of places. So it's a weird time. I was talking to the Delta Bingo guys about visiting them in Canada, and they're like, maybe if you can come up in June or July, you can bring some vaccines with you on the plane. And I was like, it's not going to turn into the underground smuggling business of trying to move vaccines around the country. But
Right. I know that Canada's always been super careful, at least in the beginning, but then they opened up a little bit and then it ran wild like Hulkamania.
speaking of, wasn't there just the WW something this weekend?
Yeah, WrestleMania was this past weekend.
What's the last letter these days? WW what?
It's not. It's not. It's numbers now. So this was the 37th one, WrestleMania
Wow.
37. So 84 to now or something like that.
Was one of the WrestleManias where you went and fell down the stairs and like injured yourself and were bleeding? Was that a WrestleMania?
Yeah, I can't talk about that. It's not. It's not professional.
I just know that you're the only guy I know that went to WrestleMania and came away bleeding. So
Right.
that's the
Right.
4D experience, right?
Right. It was at where was I? I think New
Dallas? Was that in
Orleans. It was in New Orleans,
Okay,
and
okay. I
and
think one of them was in Dallas in the new Cowboys stadium you went to.
yeah, I had had a couple drinks, and I was walking up the stairs, but I was trying to watch the match, so I had like my head turned, and then the stairs, the length of the stairs completely changed. They went to a
Oh,
wider,
sure. Okay. All
shorter.
right.
And man,
All right.
I biffed it. I had like a bloody lip and a cut on my face. All right, enough about me and my consuming and
I'm not watching
accidents.
chat today, by the way. So you're going to have to watch chat and pool together anything that you feel like we need to address or appropriate. But do we need to make sure that because it's been so long since we've done one of these, like, do you feel like we're coming through okay and people can hear us? And we didn't
Nobody's
do a sound check today. So,
Yeah, nobody's saying that they can't hear you or me or everything. Everybody's saying all good. Now they hear the
all right.
pop in. All good, sounds good. Bada boom, bada bing.
All right. I'm moving you up here so I can look at you by my camera a little bit more while I have my notes out. So, so I got 7 topics. I haven't even shared with you the topics for today yet, JMac. But number one, you knew some of them because I sent you the list and you posted it to a couple of our channels. But getting back to business after COVID is a very interesting topic for everybody, and I have to be conscious of the fact that we're not all in the same positions. Even within the United States, from state to state and city to city, it's different. So I just wanted to share a little bit about our journey and what we're thinking here at eBash and some of the other centers that I've talked to around the world. And just, not that this is meant to be a message of hope for everybody, but it is kind of a message of, stay the course. It'll be better on the other side of this. And I do believe that the industry is going to bounce back on the other side of this, because that's some of the questions that I've been asking the last month is, from other owners, do you think players will show up again? Once we're able to open, will they show up again? And will they want to come out and play again in events and lock-ins and birthday parties? And again, I 100% don't think that's going to change. I don't think the fact that everybody's been at home or not out and about is going to change the way that we want to behave as human beings. It would be a very disappointing world if, mini golf places went away and bowling alleys went away and, concerts stopped happening and the things that we all love. I'm a huge Indianapolis Colts fan, as most people know. And, there's nothing better than a full stadium of fans screaming and yelling at or with the Indianapolis Colts during a game. So I do believe as humans, we desire that. And it's been proven over the years in society that we just love to congregate together and enjoy things in real life together. And I think gaming's no exception to that. Just because we can game from home doesn't mean you get the same experience of going to a LAN center to compete, but also to just relax and hang out with your friends and have 5 screens all in a row that you guys can all sit down and play on, that you didn't have to network in your basement and try to figure out how to make work. So I do think we're on our way there. Everybody always asks me like as if I've got a crystal ball or anything else, but I do think that as I watch our usage in our network across all of our systems, we're about 50% of the stores are back open again. That doesn't mean anything because we don't know how many casualties are going to happen. We know some. I know a lot of folks that this broke the back of a lot of businesses, and our industry is no different. So there will be centers that closed for the pandemic that will not reopen. We know that. We all talk to them on a regular basis, and our hearts go out to them. And it's, hopefully financially they'll be able to recover in some way as individuals, and they didn't lose too much in the process. But about half of the centers are open again. We've got new centers signing up every day. So we're starting to see registrations and demos and things in our software pick back up again, specifically around the collegiate realm, which again may not be matter to a private land center owner, but the colleges are a good indication to me that they're feeling pretty confident that this fall they'll be back to some normalcy on campuses again, which is good. So I do believe that we're on our way back. I do believe new startups are going to come along. And fortunately for us as a company, we've been able to survive the first part of the pandemic with a couple, new business ideas. And then in the past 6 months, we've really excelled and buckled down with some of the stuff we're going to talk about today that's getting ready to be released in the next couple months. So, we took the opportunity to really do a lot of soul searching internally as a company and find out what we could build and what we could do to help the industry on the other side. So we feel really great about it. And then the users are starting to come back. So, users at LAN centers, we track logins, again, just across the whole network. And, it was sad in the heart of the pandemic. It went to basically zero. And, it was zero for about 6 weeks. And then some countries started opening back up again. I know in the US, it took a lot longer to open back up than other countries. But, we're back to about a third of the users are back. And that to me is another metric of telling us, it's one thing for eBash here, who's still closed. We opened up last fall and we stayed open through the holiday season, and then the resurgence of the virus in January. And, coupled with the fact that it's kind of hard to find employees right now that want to work, not for any other reason than everybody's not sure if we should be out working in a place like this. We're not an essential business, right? It was coupled with that we closed down again, and we're going to reopen again in May. But users are coming back in our network. So about a third of the original users pre-pandemic are back actively logging into the centers again. So if half the centers are open and a third of the users are back, that tells me that we're kind of preparing to open up again. But I say that with the knowledge that a lot of you out there, it's not even your option. Your local government is still got your business or your type of business on the list of things that should not be open yet. And My advice to everybody is obviously, depending on what your opinions of everything are, just do what you're asked to do by the local government. Do your part so that you're not an outlier, that's going against the flow of what society and what the government in your area is telling you to do. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. We're closing in on being open again. So I don't know if you're starting to feel that a little bit, J Mac. Have you had both shots? Have you had both yours yet, or you just one?
No, my second one's next week, the 22nd. But I mean, I talked to 3 colleges this morning, and then I'm usually the one that deals with resellers. So I feel like every week I hear that a country's reopening because resellers need to purchase credits or need to fix some things or whatever. But um, whether or not these go right back into lockdown, I don't really know 100%. But it does seem like each week a new one comes by and says, "Hey, government's giving us the thumbs up."
I haven't followed up on this news story, but I did see that last week, I think it was, that the baseball team in Texas, the Texas Rangers, opened their stadium up and had about 40,000 people attend a baseball game. Again, I think we all kind of we're not all sure. Like, is that going to create problems? Is that going to create, another surge of spread because we've just gone to that kind of capacity so quickly? But and again, I looked at it as a positive that the people want to be out. Like, if 40,000 people showed up for a baseball game, then as land center owners and gaming operators and colleges welcoming students back on campus or whatever the business is you're in, I think that they want to get back out again, right? So I just I just think we just got to be patient a little bit longer. I've predicted, and again, this is not anything to hang your hat on, but I just feel like, and this was before President Biden said the same thing as me, so he copied me. I said by July 4th, I think that it'll feel a lot more normal again, because I think everybody in the United States will have had the opportunity to get the virus that's eligible. I think there's still a concern for all of us with children, like, so the kids can't get it yet, so until everybody has an option to get it, including children and young teenagers, then I think it's still going to be a little bit funky. But at least for adults, I think adults will feel comfortable then to not be afraid of it, but not to do my part, right? Like, I don't want to be the person that spreads it to somebody else, that causes somebody else problems either. So I think that by July 4th, I'm going to see that. So again, a lot of our releases that we're going to talk about today with some of our new features and products are in and around that time frame. And we've adjusted it, to be quite honest. Like, we thought ggRock 1.0 we would push and get done in January this year, and we were looking to coordinate that with when everybody would open back up again. And as we got into November and thought, you know what, it's not going to be open again in December because the vaccines hadn't even started yet. We said, let's push it back. So we pushed it back to March, and then we waited. And in January, we saw the rollout of vaccines in the U.S. and knew like it wasn't going to be ready in March for everybody to open back up. So, our new date is July 1st for ggRock 1.0, and it's built around when we think the industry is going to be open up again, and that's a fair time for the industry to start selling it as a full-blown product instead of right now. We offer it. If you have a ggLeap subscription, you can use ggRock at no extra charge during this period of time. So that's one of my points. I'm going out of order a little bit, but for anybody out there, especially right now, when you're not at full capacity or you may not even be open yet, it is the time to put in ggRock in your center, because it doesn't cost you anything to put it in right now, and you'll be able to get it all set up and comfortable with using it before you're back to capacity again later this summer or this fall. So it's a great time to put that in. So reach out to our team if you want a trial of it. It requires a hardware purchase on your side. We have a couple different builds that we can give you that show you what to build for the server that runs everything. And some of the big clients we work with that have multiple locations are hesitant on, one point of failure in a boot system like this, that you don't need hard drives in your PC and it all boots from it. We've got years of usage now of it that, I can tell you I'll never run a center again without ggRock at the center of it. It is irresponsible to your poor employees, and it's a bad customer service for your customers to try anything else besides a Pixie boot solution, because patch day cometh when patch day cometh. and you can never predict it, and you can never predict the size, and somebody somewhere is going to have a bad experience if you're not using a Pixie Boot solution like ggRock. So that checks a box of one of my things we're going to talk about today is ggRock roadmap. So we've hired a couple new developers that are now working in addition to the developers we had working on the product. So we've increased the team on ggRock, and their roadmap is that we'll be at full 1.0 release on July 1st. So that's one of our big news stories for today. So it's a little bit out of order, but we'll touch that one. Before I jump into ggFuse, JMac, any thoughts on ggRock? Or how many people are not, like, especially startups? Like, I feel like everybody that's starting a store, it's kind of if you've never ran a store before, you kind of are less scared about launching with ggRock than somebody who's ran a store for a period of time for some reason. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see that a little bit. I think also it depends on size and budget. Like, one of the colleges I talked to today is doing 5 PCs and wanting to expand later because they're just dealing with their esports club, so it wasn't ideal for them. However, by the time I got to the end of the call, he was like, "I'm one of the IT team, and I'm the one in charge of it all." So I was like, "Well, maybe you need it." But but yeah, I mean, I would say the ones that we do consulting for, it seems like a no-brainer. But a lot of people who come and do ggLeap demos are only know ggLeap. So I reach out to everybody that does a demo just so that they can understand, hey, this is what I'm getting into, and this is what ggCircuit does beyond ggLeap. So, once I kind of offer that up to them, I feel like, it's one of those things whenever people start using our software and they see how it works in their business, then they'll kind of come back and say, well, it does make sense to do this now. So,
yeah, I can honestly say that nobody, 0% of the people who have installed ggRock and are using it for their business, none of them go back to not using ggRock. Like it's one of those things that, like, once you've tried it, you can't live without it. And it is like you think to yourself, why was I afraid? Like, the servers are built and spec'd out to have redundancy and failovers. So the server itself, other than the building losing power, which the gaming PCs won't work anyway, those servers are built in such a way that they are reliable, and you don't have to worry about the hardware of the server failing. And again, it's strange to me to think that there's still people out there, big companies with multiple locations, that haven't embraced that technology yet, because it just saves their people so much time and headaches, and their customers. So as we go today too, JMac, I apologize, you have to talk to me and watch the chat, but if we run into the next topic and we need to come back and answer some of the questions, I thought maybe what we do is just compile them all to the end, because I don't want to move to the next topic, have somebody ask a question. So those of you that are watching live, feel free to post the questions for JMac to see. We're not ignoring those questions. We'll come back to them at the end, so that way it kind of flows a little bit better in today's discussions.
Yeah, okay. Everybody's just salivating for ggFuse stuff. No real questions other than some mentioning whether or not they're open or not.
They don't know some of my other topics that I've added to today's thing. So, all right, ggFuse. So ggFuse is it actually is a concept that we started brainstorming maybe 3 years ago. We were given an opportunity maybe 2 years ago. I don't know how long it was, and it has nothing to do with crypto. Okay. We were approached by a company that was interested in using the computing power of the network and paying everybody in the system to use the computing power of the network. We've had other folks reach out to us that want to use the storage of the network, but we all know that games drives, even if you use a hard drive in the PC or ggRock, like, you need as much storage as possible because these daggone games are getting so big. So there's not a lot of opportunity to sell distributed storage, but distributed compute power is an asset that we're all sitting on that we don't use, or we've not all been aware of and can combine to use in the past. So ggFuse, the concept for it, and again, I'm sure Chris bought this domain name, and you can look back to whenever we bought the domain name. That's the day that we started talking about it. We were approached by a company that wanted to buy compute power from us, but we were not comfortable with it because their solution for us was, oh, just put us in touch with the centers, and then we're going to remote into every PC and install our software on every PC. And we were like, I don't know if everybody knows how careful we are with all of our systems for each other, but like, it just sounded, I wasn't going to let them do that at eBash. And I'm like, no, we're not going to promote that to all of our centers. But we started thinking about how do we utilize that asset for all of us. And in the pandemic, a lot of our centers have used our downtime when the store's not open to mine crypto. That's really what that is distributed computing. I understand it's blockchain and all this other technology, but you're utilizing resources across all of those devices to do computing and to assign a ledger across all those devices that's fully protected and safe to manage Bitcoin, so or whatever crypto. So at eBash here, Sean and Dustin has two hats, one for ggCircuit, one for eBash, and at Helix out east, with the Vandervelds out in their centers, we started doing some tests around, what could we do with the downtime in and around mining crypto. And so we've been running it for a few months, and I just had a call this morning with a group, and I had to re-emphasize this over and over and over again. This is not meant to be some sort of investment thing. This is not about crypto itself. This is about monetizing the distributed computing power of your computers as an additional income source for your center when gamers are not gaming. Okay, so you kind of need to put the crypto side of this to the side for a minute and realize, like, we're selling the usage of our computing power to somebody for a period of time, and they're just sending us cash for that. It'll be US dollars is sent to everybody for using their compute power. It just so happens that this first stage of it, with the price and the hash rates and the opportunity, and specifically around Ethereum is where the sweet spot is right now, that is the best use of distributed computing power right now to generate cash for all of us at our centers. If you're geeking out over crypto and you love crypto and you want to hold crypto and think the value of crypto is going to go up, and so mining a coin now and holding it in your wallet for 12 months so that it's worth 4 times as much as what you mine today, we have a solution for that. That is not meant, that's not ggFuse distributed computing. That's not what this is meant to be. Okay. So if you want to geek out over crypto, we can give you resources to go research it and figure out what you want to do, where you have a wallet and you have your own crypto in it. That's not what this solution is. Okay. This solution, and again, I'll move my center to this on May the 4th when we kind of launch the beta of this thing, versus doing it myself in the center for a lot of different reasons I'll share with you now. But I'm paying my rent and my electricity and my internet line every month with the dollar amount value of crypto that I'm mining. I have zero interest in holding on to crypto as an investment later. That is not managing a center and utilizing your PCs to make money. If you want to use it to get crypto, then you could take your US dollars from this program and go buy crypto with it at the day that you get it. It's the same thing, right? So you could do that, or you can utilize the tools that are already in ggLeap that we'll point out to you, as eBash has been using and Helix has been using, so that when a user logs into the system, it can kill, you can write scripts that kill and reset the system to gaming. And then when the user hits the log out button, you can run a script that restarts your mining process. You can have a pool, you can have a wallet, you can have mine whatever crypto you want. You can decide the hash rates, you can set all the overclocking, you can do all that if you want to geek out for that. ggFuse and our crypto solution is not any of that. It is made to utilize our group as a whole with one provider to put cash in everybody's pocket to pay the bills or for income for your center. So again, 2 clear paths for you if you want to do crypto. Number 1, we've got documentation that'll show you how to launch and how to launch a script when somebody logs in and logs out of ggLeap. And then you can go do research online about all the different solutions that are out there around crypto. If you want crypto, use that solution. If you want to utilize your PCs to make you money, then the crypto solution that's built into ggFuse is meant to click one button, You'll have a few parameters that you can set. And those parameters are things like just anytime the PC's on, mine for crypto, if the user's not logged in, or you can set a time parameter, because in some countries and regions, we know electricity is cheaper at night than it is during the day. And so you may turn it on to say mine from midnight until 9 a.m. when the store opens, or 8 a.m. when the electricity gets more expensive. And you can do that inside of your panel inside of ggFuse for crypto mining. You're not going to get transferred Ethereum. You're not going to have a wallet with Ethereum. You're going to get paid, and there'll be a schedule that pays this out as regularly as is reasonable for all of us to you. And what I mean by that is you can't just put one computer in this and ask for an hourly payout of cash, because it's not going to make enough money to be worth it for that to be transferred. So there'll be thresholds in this that we'll post in the next couple of weeks, that when it gets to $500, there'll be a payout, or when it gets to 2 weeks or $500, there'll be a payout, and it'll be wire transferred to your bank. And you don't have to mess with holding the coins, trading the coins, selling the coins, converting the coins, any of that stuff. It will just be cash into your pocket at the regular scheduled time. And a lot of questions have come to us. And again, we're waiting for this show. We don't exactly know yet, based on the volume of people that are going to join this program, what our costs are going to be. So we're just going to start it off, and our cut is just going to be 10%, which is what we feel like will cover our costs for managing this and putting this program in place and taking the burden of doing that. We're not going to hold it either, by the way. Like, our intention is to not mine Ethereum and keep Ethereum either. We're going to be doing the same thing that our centers are doing, is that we're going to turn it into cash on a regular schedule, because we're not in business of investing Ethereum as a business model or income source. That's not who we are. So,
yeah, and I mean, what I want to say in addition to that is there are a lot of people who are not tech savvy that run a center. It's just true. They hire someone to be the tech savvy people. So a lot of our owners and a lot of our people involved will not know how to set up this. They could follow the directions, but they want an easy method to add money to their center. So that's the real focus of this. Is a lot of the guys that are in here are PC proficient, technology proficient, and some of them have already posted in our Facebook group about, well, how do I mine crypto? And that's why we're given these two options. But a lot of the percentage of people will just want this one-click method to add more cash to their bottom line.
Right. And some of this, again, is for folks like us. Like, I don't know how to do this. I'm not proficient in any of this, but Sean and Dustin here, and Paul from ggG, Jack from Helix, out in the Helix centers have done this. Like, one things that we've evaluated and determined is that our system, because everybody is in one panel for us, like, so all of your systems have ggLeap running on them, and all of them are connected to the back end where you can go into the admin panel and have control over those. Our system will automatically monitor the machine's hardware during the process and help detect GPU temperature changes and things like, and shut it off and turn it on when it's appropriate per thresholds that are applicable to every different hardware profile. It'll evaluate your hardware. And again, I know enough of this to be dangerous, but I do know that there are ways to optimize for mining that are different than the way you would run your hardware for gaming. And so what our system will do is it'll recognize what hardware is there, and it'll optimize for mining when it's mining, and it'll reset it for gaming when a player logs in and is ready for gaming. And so you could have 8 different hardware profiles in your center. You could have 8 different types of PCs, and our system will monitor that, and based on each PC's hardware, optimize it, and then put it back to the optimal gaming settings at the end of the mining process. Those are the things that we're trying to just make it easier for us to do. It is the same thing we'll do in the future with some of these distributed computing partners. And again, these will be opportunities for everybody to just go in, evaluate it, check a box if you want to do it. Don't check the box if you don't want to do it, right? It'll be an opt-in solution that if you're like, I'll pick on Dan Art. No idea if he's listening to us live. I'm sure he'll watch it later, but Dan is like me. He just doesn't have extra nerds laying around like I do to say, hey, Sean and Dustin, go figure out how to do this in eBash. And then he just wants a button that he can click because he knows that there's a wasted income source for him from downtime from his PCs. And so this system is for folks like Dan that just says, listen, help me utilize my computing power that's sitting here idle. And again, if you want to be a crypto investor, the day that the wire transfers hit your account with cash, go buy crypto that day. It's the exact same thing, right? Like if we transfer you $2,182, and that's what one Ethereum coin is today, go buy an Ethereum coin with it and hold it in your wallet if that's what you want to do with your investment. Like it's the same thing, but we know there's a loss in exchanging the coins that's just going to cost us all money if we try to do that through wallets and transfers, and there'll be other third parties involved that'll cause us all to lose a percentage of share of revenue in this deal that is unnecessary. So the more documentation is going to come out on this over the next couple of weeks. The timing of this is intentionally May the 4th be with you because it's a cool date anyway. And it'll just be an update that comes out just like all the other features inside of ggLeap, and everybody will be able to evaluate it. There's no commitment to this thing long-term or anything. Like you can turn it on and off whenever you want. There will be thresholds, like you can't just turn it on and mine $1 and then ask us to wire transfer you $1. We're still trying to figure out the best way for us to automatically transfer that cash to you all. So it might be PayPal in some countries might be better than a wire transfer, but ideally we'd like to do it via wire transfer or something where the fees for all of us are as low as possible, because we're just trying to take as many middlemen out of these transactions as possible to generate revenue for us from that down computing time. The question was asked, like, we're not going to do our own pool yet. Like our team will be able to do our own pool eventually, but it's going to take a scale that we've got to see if everybody opts into the scale that makes sense for us to run our own pool. So for the nerds that want to geek out a little bit about it, our guys can talk about it a little bit, but we're going to use FlexPool. And the reason why we're using FlexPool is it has a really robust API. So we can monitor exactly how much each PC is contributing so that we reward and pay every center owner exactly a percentage of what they're mining on their PC, because it's not going to be the same across all the PCs in the network. So every center will know, again, I'll just use it as a random example. Once you've got to $100, if we need 10% of that to be able to make all this work, then you'll get a $90 US dollar transfer at the end of that period. So that's our intention for this automated program from the start. I'm not saying you're locked in for 10 years. I'm not promising anybody it's going to be that same exact thing in 4 months. EEG, our parent company, that the deal is nearly finalized so that we're all one big company. It's very, very close to being done. They asked in the press release if we could talk about some of these things. I said no, because for better or worse, we may pick the wrong number, but we can't predict how many centers are going to opt into this. So until we get a month or two under our belt, I'm not going to hold anybody accountable. And I will promise everybody that if we're making a lot of margin on our 10% and it's not as good for the centers, we'll lower our percent. And I can guarantee the other way, if we're spending more than we're making on our 10% to do this, we will charge a higher percentage to do it. And in the end, if it doesn't make sense for either of us to do it, that's when we look for other opportunities with other partners for distributed computing. Because right now it just so happens to be that crypto is the best, most profitable distributing computing solution, but there are lots of other solutions out there we can use.
Yeah, and last thing that I'll mention, but I'm just thinking about some of the smaller places that have an off day. Like thinking about back when I used to run the eBash in Indianapolis, like having an extra couple $100 makes all the difference in the world. You have an off day that you don't make your normal, whatever, $200-$300. That's a big deal to be able to keep the lights on and or pay for your ggLeap subscription for, or if that's something you need it for. So nobody's going to get rich, but I think the other thing was I wanted to ask a question. Are we still doing the report where over time people will be able to see how much
Oh, absolutely.
people
Yeah,
how much they're earning?
everything for us is about transparency. And again, I have to be careful on the other side of this deal as a publicly traded company. I just always say what our intentions are, and I'm very transparent about it. And we want all of this to be transparent. So you will see a report of the hash rate of all your PCs and what's being generated, and we'll be very transparent about, okay, we've mined this much of a coin, or we've mined a coin and a half, and it'll translate to the dollar amount that day of the price of exchange, because that's the best we can do is that day's price. And when it gets to that threshold, like there will not be an option for folks for you guys to say, I want to leave $10,000 until there's 10,000 here. Don't transfer me money. I mean, if there's a reason why, I'm happy to hear that reason. Like if you're in a country where there's a certain threshold, where if you get a wire transfer that's under a certain dollar amount, we're not going to force you to take $50 if you lose $50 in the transfer fee, right? Like we'll work with you, but it's meant to be a regular thing that transfers money to your account on a regular basis. And we're going to show you reports of exactly what it is. You'll know how much is generated. So you'll know what our 10%, we'll show that to you on the reports. So that will be a dashboard that runs once you turn it on. It'll show you stats about every PC, how each PC is functioning. And again, one thing I didn't realize is that at eBash, our PCs are, I should know this by heart, but I think two plus years old. We have 1080 graphics cards in them. They're not the world's greatest mining setup, but it works just fine, so that our PCs generate us about $100 a month per PC. It's strange, but that's almost exactly where it generates. And so then it costs me about $10 in electricity per PC. So I net about $90 a PC right now in mining. So if you want to use that formula, unless your PCs are a lot older, it will be that rate or a little bit higher. And again, like Sean and I have to set up a wallet, and it has to move the stuff in a wallet. And we have to decide when do we sell it, and then we lose a percentage when we sell it to whatever company then translates that Ethereum into cash and transfers the cash to us. And there's usually a few people in the middle of that take some of those funds. And that's what we're trying to avoid with this automated system, because it's just not worth it for Sean and I to manage that. Now, again, Sean, my partner at eBash, is into it. He crypto mines at home. He has his own wallet at home, and he's holding the Ethereum in his wallet and watching the price of it, right? Like he's into that. That's part of the fun for him of doing it. And if you want to do that, 100%, there's a solution. You can start and stop programs with ggLeap, log in and log out of players, and turn on your PCs and write some scripts that start and stop these programs and launch those scripts from ggLeap. Like you can do it. It's not rocket science for the techies that want to do that. And if you're not a techie and you want crypto and you want a wallet, just take our dollars and go buy crypto with it when we transfer them to you.
Yeah, we already are running short on time already, so let's try to move.
Because you thought this would be an hour long.
Right.
Good one. All right. So again, happy. This is not a one chance to ask questions, and 90 to 100% of the people watch this on demand later anyway, not live. So I'm sure we'll get lots of questions. Jump into Discord, ask the questions. We're happy to answer them, and more info is coming out over the next couple of weeks. Next topic, Square integration. So we've automated our connections between us and Square and become a partner with Square, so that we have access to push and pull data back and forth between the two systems. Again, another option, my center's moving to Square. We used to have another credit card provider and just run cash drawer with, I don't even know what we use. QuickBooks or something. I don't even know what we used before, but we're moving to Square to manage our till, our cash drawer, and our credit card sales all in one solution. And the two systems talk to each other. So like you can import all of your ggLeap offers into Square, or you could set up offers in Square that are transferred over into ggLeap. The purpose of this is that employees at the front counter should just have the Square tablet or a PC running Square, and they can do everything they need. The employee running the counter can do everything they need with just Square. So $10 is handed to them, or a credit card swipe for $10 for 3 hours, and then the player just goes and sits down and plays. You don't have to have the ggLeap admin open and go in and ask their username, whatever else. Like that's the username is in there, connected to their account in Square. And when you sell them 3 hours for $10, it's automatically added, and then ggLeap does its thing. So it is long overdue. It is something that I wanted 15 years ago before anything else was out. I was like, why can't we put a point of sale, merchant processing, and everything integrated so that an employee can't cheat and take $10 over here in the point of sale and then give their friend $30 worth of time in ggLeap. And then the poor owner and manager has to look at reports at the end of the month and see who's cheating the system. So it's big news. We've been waiting for it forever. That's one of the things we've been working on the last 6 months as we've been building stuff out. It's in beta. Some centers have opted in already. There's a group in Discord you can be added into if you want to try it out. If you're already running Square, by all means, raise your hand in Discord. We'll get it set up for you where you can start testing it. It's running. It's awesome. It was well needed. Trying to think of my notes here if there's anything else I missed on the Square portion.
I think that I've been telling people this. I haven't verified it, but I think that we would be the first land center management software to actually do the credit card transactions.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen the videos of our centers that are testing this, but it's also meant to make your experience at the desks self-service. And this also leads into the reservation system coming soon, because now you can take payments through Square anywhere Square is available. And so what we've tested, which is awesome, is that when you're sitting at a PC and you want to buy some snacks and drinks, you can just scan a QR code from your phone using Square and pay for it directly to the center in their bank account with Square, right from the PC where the player is sitting. If you're sitting at home and you want to reserve PC3, you can go to the website, click on it, scan it with Square. Square will check you out. You'll pay for it, and now you've reserved PC3 at the LAN center for 2 o'clock tomorrow when you show up. So Square is the gateway into a lot of other solutions coming soon. But yeah, it is again, I want everybody, like, it seems like a no-brainer. Why haven't we done this earlier? But all of these things take a lot of time and development, which translates into a lot of money to get built ahead of time. And our purpose of this thing is that we're not going to charge extra for Square integration. Like, it'll just be a checkbox in ggLeap you turn on, and you set up your merchant account with Square, and you put your bank account in with Square, and they are your processor for your credit cards and stuff, and it just goes right to your bank account. You're already all doing that. If you're taking credit cards now with somebody's doing that for you already. Square also just has a very robust inventory management system for snacks and drinks and reporting system. So good old, I'll pick on Dan Art again out in Phoenix. Dan uses Square. He runs his business with Square. ggLeap manages the PCs and tracks time, launches games and does all that stuff, but he runs his business with Square. That's his reports he uses at the end of the month. How many Coca-Colas did you sell? He uses Square for that. So instead of us trying to build our own point of sale program inside of ggLeap, which we started to do, and everybody knows, like, there's 5,000 options with a point of sale system. We've just decided we're going to integrate with Square. I know the question is going to come up, will we integrate with other providers? It's all about the number of centers that need it. So as we surveyed groups of centers, and some of you took those surveys with us, and we asked you this, and you may not even remember this, a year ago, we asked a lot of centers, what do you use for your point of sale? The number one was Square. So that's the one we did first. Now, after we run with this for 2 or 3 or 4 months, if people don't like Square or they have another solution, I'll use Toast as an example. A lot of restaurants use Toast. We'll look at integrating with other partners if we need to for other centers. But for right now, it seems like Square will check the box for a lot of people. And in eBash's case, again, I think I was using QuickBooks. It's cheaper, I think, as I looked at the rates to use Square anyway. I will absolutely just switch from QuickBooks to Square. So it's no big deal for me. It's not because ggCircuit built Square integrations. I'm just like, I'm happy to use whatever solution is integrated as long as it doesn't cost me more money than I was spending before. All right. Any questions about Square integration pop up, J-Mac, before I move on? We're kind of hitting them as we go, which is good.
I've noted a couple, but nothing related to what we're talking about.
All right, ggLeap 2.0. Everybody's seen this. Ross is posting about it. Everybody's excited about it. I just want to touch on it on this call so everybody's got it at this point. And hopefully then again, as people ask questions in the future, our support staff will be able to like, cool, go to this YouTube video at 46 minutes. And this is where we address some ggLeap 2.0 features. So ggLeap 2.0, excuse me, is built in web tech. It's a new technology from Microsoft that allows us to build a UI that is driven by web. It's driven by the web. So it's think about it like Chromium is for building things for Google Chrome and then that platform. But like the biggest thing for this to me is that, and I know this number sounds insane, but it's 300% less usage of the resources of the machine than our old interface with Unity. And why that matters is, again, things like when you're sitting idle and you're doing distributed computing, you have more computing power to do distributed computing, and it's not being used by the screen waiting for a player to log in that's running in Unity. So Unity is going away. We're going to web tech. It's out there. It's available for people to test if you want it. We'll migrate to it over the next month or two as the default. It's not going to be an optional thing. You're not going to have an option to use Unity in the future. And it's just so much better for us for speeding up development of other features, because anybody who knows anything about programming, Unity is very, very intensive when it comes to laying things out. And like the tools to integrate things in Unity are usually third-party scripts or tools that are not as fast or easy to work with. Since this is all built in web tech, it'll be easier for us to build in features as we go. So a lot of our development process is going to get faster. We're back to fortnightly releases if you haven't noticed it yet. So every 2 weeks, there'll be a patch available for update. They're always opt-in. So you guys will be excited. Every 2 weeks, we'll have new features coming out now. And Ross and team have already started that. And I should know the exact schedule, but like
the next one's supposed to happen this week, the 20th, I think.
Right, it wasn't this week, so that means it's next week. So every other week there's an update, and it'll have bug fixes as well as new features rolling out for a lot of these different products. There's a lot of videos and stuff that you guys can watch. Ross wanted me to mention that. I'm just reading his notes here. Yeah, this other part is my last point. So I'm going to save that one to the end. ggRock we've already talked about. I got two more quick topics if we're going to get this done by 2. So my next one is APIs. So we've just dedicated development time to setting up external APIs. And it's related to my last topic, which is the one JMac doesn't know about. So our whole system is built on APIs. We use them internally. They're encrypted, and they're only for our system to use to talk back and forth. And we want to get to the point, we've always wanted to get to the point where we allow people to push and pull data in and out of their install, right? So if you've got a user system and you'd like to log people in through your user system, you can push and pull user logins through our system on the other side of this. If you've got a website and you want to have a page that displays who's online, and you want to pull that data and info about who's online, or pull a leaderboard out yourself without asking us to build anything, we'll make APIs available to you all to use for your customers and your data. So that's an exciting thing that is probably not as awesome and big as ggFuse or Square integration or ggLeap 2.0, but to me, that was one of my things I always wanted us to get to, and we're going to be getting there as part of this process. It'll be, Ross will hold me to this later, so I'll say a long date. It'll be ready for testing probably in the next 2 to 3 months, but we're already working on it. So it's already in process. It's already being worked on. It'll roll out again. If you guys are not, and gals are not in our Discord group, there's always times where our group reaches out to everybody and said, hey, you want to test something out? We got a new feature coming up. Just raise your hand. And then we get a private Discord channel for that feature or that new product coming out, and we let people test it. And so it can be done as easy as, a lot of times, like you could just flip one PC over to ggLeap 2.0 if you want to see it. I think, JMac, right? Like Like you could just
Yeah,
pick a PC and update it.
so there's some questions in about, well, where do I see ggLeap 2.0? You can experience it. You don't just have to see it right now. It is an alpha release. So go to settings in the ggLeap web admin. I think it's client configuration version, and you could pick one or more PCs and just upgrade it to alpha. Then all you have to do is restart the PC. Now, if you are diskless, you have to be careful with that, depending on what your setup is, to just pick one PC and turn off write backs or whatever, and update one PC and test it. But it's out there now. The UI is not in its final form. It's part of the bi-weekly releases, but we're saying, I think very mildly, but there's going to be major features released every 2 weeks. That is stuff that we've been working on for quite a while.
Yeah, and again, I apologize if I say this wrong, but the branding and customization of ggLeap 2.0 is very robust. There's a lot of options for videos and backgrounds to be uploaded. And, like I think everybody's going to be pretty excited about ggLeap 2.0 and the options it brings to the table. One thing I will say is that a subset of ggLeap 2.0 is that we're really doing a revamp and an upgrade, which is, again, a brand new feature we just rolled out in the last 7 or 8 months. But the episode system is getting some work done as well. It's just exciting for me because it's all these cool things that we've planned on doing are now getting built and getting ready to release. We may change the name of that, by the way. We may change the name of episodes to quests or adventures or something that's a little more indicative of what it is. And it's an opportunity for all of you to set up fun things and activities for your gamers to participate in your center and be rewarded with coins and spend them in your prize vaults. So the episode system revamp's coming along soon. That's something to get excited about. And then my last topic, and then we'll try to nail any kind of questions that are left over here, is, and I didn't know what this is. Ross just dropped this bomb on me today as I got ready for the call a couple of hours ago. But we talk about SSO with universities a lot. And so we just had a call this morning with a group in Europe that's rolling out some stuff with universities in Europe. And I said, don't forget, on campus, you already have a user system, right? Like somebody that goes to your school goes to the computer lab and they have a username and password. They log in to use the computer lab. Or some schools, they all have their own laptop, but they have a username and password for the school that they log into. We have this option available for universities right now. So like all the universities in the United States that I know of that have a user system use our SSO system. So you're not making a ggLeap login. All the students log in with their on-campus login to use the system. When Ross told me we're integrating SSO with ggLeap, I was like, duh, it's already there. Universities use it. I didn't know what he meant. Did you know this? You know what I'm about to say already? So
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, I had no idea, which to me, I don't know why we've waited so long to do this, but especially for a brand new user coming into your system, we're now finally integrating SSO with other companies. So the examples are like Facebook and Google. So you'll be able to turn on the ability for a player to come into your store and use their Google or Facebook login. They've never been to your store. They walk in for the first time ever. You could turn the option on to let them log in with their Facebook account or log in with their Google account. And when they do that, they give authorization to fill out the user data in your database with the player's info. And again, this goes back to Square integration and self-service at the station. So now a player can walk into your store, find an empty seat, sit down, create their own account using one of their already existing social media profiles or company profiles with Google or something else, buy the stuff they need to with using the integrated Square and start playing games without going to the front counter. To me, that was like my favorite thing I've learned in the last 4 hours was the fact that he kept saying to me, we're working on SSO. And in my mind, I'm like, we already have that, Ross. Like SSO with what? Like the universities have really proprietary systems that are companies that do university user systems, and we're already built with them. So I had no idea what we could possibly be working on with SSO. And he's like, when you go somewhere and you first create an account, you can use your Facebook account to log in. And I'm like, what? That was my favorite news of the day. I'm
Yeah,
mad that you knew about it.
well, I saw it in the mock-ups, the 2.0 mock-ups. So I don't know
Uh,
how. I, I don't want to promise anything that's not coming, but in the mock-ups they had like Steam and Epic and a few other things like that. There's some, you know, some esports esque websites out there with that we might want to implement as well. So yeah, no, that's super cool, and one of those things that we've Winger will have the gigantic "I told you so," I'm sure, but he mentioned it, I think, probably very early on, maybe before he was even a part of our team, that that's what he wanted for authentication. But it's coming, man, and it is super awesome.
yeah. So the fun part about this is, again, everybody, I don't know if everybody knows this, so I shouldn't say that. For those of you that know this, I apologize. I'll say it again. We've been on quite the journey at ggCircuit has in the last 13 months. Now, I'm not saying everybody else has had a better journey or a worse journey. I just want to share, like, so we, powered industry that was built on location-based entertainment, and the world shut down. And we pivoted during that period of time and did some projects for some great partners and built an at-home client and served a lot of people gaming from home and gave a lot of options to partners that have opened up doors for us for other opportunities in the future. We have signed a letter of intent, negotiated the terms, and are finalizing a deal to be rolled up and acquired by a publicly traded company. And that deal should be done in the next week or two. And in the process of all of this, have been able to start building a lot of tools coming out the other side of the pandemic and timing that in the best possible time. And we're all seeing that start now. So starting today, and you guys who pay attention to Discord and everything else and know our releases that started coming out a few weeks ago, like Q2, this quarter is when the work that we've put in the past 12 months starts getting released and revealed. You guys we're all going to share in the benefit of that for our centers. So when it's time to open eBash in May, next month, in 2 weeks, I'll open my store back up here in Indiana. And when I open it, I'm going to have Square integration. I'm going to have integrated crypto mining for now for distributed computing. I'm going to have ggLeap 2.0. I'm going to have new episodes running. I'm going to be able to welcome the customer into a brand new event system to earn coins and win prizes. I'm going to let people sign up at the station with SSO. I'm going to have APIs to put leaderboards onto eBash's website. I mean, I don't know. I understand people all over the world are still dying and we're still in a pandemic, and I don't want to poo-poo that at all. But I'm telling everybody to hold on to hope, because the other side is coming and there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we will be there soon. Trademark. Because I don't know when. You're muted, by the way, J-Mac, somewhere in one of your many places.
Hashtag soon.
Hashtag soon. All right. Any pressing questions in the live chat before we sign off? And then, because again, we're not going anywhere. Ask us questions. Anybody wants to email me? My email is easy. It's zach.johnson@ggcircuit.com. jason.mcintosh@ggcircuit.com. You can use that to figure out everyone else's email address at ggCircuit if you want to send Ross one. I should have just said Ross's is what I should have done. It's made everybody go to him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's
like doing town halls. Did you know that?
Well, because you make fun of everybody.
No, but I meant not with me. Like, he could do a town hall with you, right? So like, maybe he just meant with me. Maybe he doesn't like me. Now that you say that, I'm feeling a little bad.
The only question I have that either hasn't been answered or by me or was unrelated was talking about console.
Oh, geez, are we allowed
stuff.
to talk about that? Okay, I'll answer it real quickly as another.
Just be vague.
Yeah, another sneak peek. So yeah, we've been developing with great partners a hardware device that will control console access through ggLeap. How's that? And it is in prototypes. Prototypes have been created. They've been shipped out to not, again, before I just said to everybody, raise your hand, you're ready to test this, but they're not out to centers yet for testing. As soon as we're available, we'll post, hey, who's ready to test these out? We're nailing down the costs. We're nailing down, because again, there's a piece of hardware that has to go in there, and we're trying to make it as inexpensive. Like, we're not in the hardware business. So again, we're trying to make it as inexpensive as possible for everybody to buy the hardware to control the devices. But yes, it is coming. I'll boldly say that, if again, I keep using July 4th as the day that things are going to get back to normal, I think that we'll have it in beta for centers to test by July 4th. How's that?
That'd be way earlier than I expected. So.
And I probably just made a bunch of developers mad on our team.
Oh yeah, so my Slack just went off, so it's probably somebody yelling at me.
I apologize to the console hardware team, and I'm not worried about the software team because they're waiting on the hardware guys to get finished. So, hardware team, you know who you are. I love you. Now they'll just come back to me and be like, fine, we got to hire 4 more people. And I'll be like, no, do it with the 17 of you that are already there. No, I don't know how many people are on it, but there's a few. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. I'm glad we're back together again. Get the old band back together.
Yep, we actually saw each other in person for the first time in about 6 months last week, and hit some golf balls and had a few drinks, and it was good. I know.
By the way,
I know. I know. I've been, even though I'm somewhat extroverted, I think I'm a lot more introverted. But I'm finally getting to the point where I'm just super itchy to get out more and everything else. So I can't wait for that shot next week. Not that cures everything, but it sure helps a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Moderna 2 weeks ago, and after a week, I think it is, or 10 days after the first shot, you're 80%. And again, I'm not scared of it personally, but I care about a lot of other people around me, and so I just feel better knowing that I've protected myself, but obviously protected all the people that I love and care about around me. So it does really change your mentality, knowing that you're protected and that you've protected the loved ones around you. The one thing I'll leave you with, JMac, is that if we do another town hall in a month, a week, a year, whenever it is, I'm going to say that you got to have your ggCircuit sticker up on the wall, or else I'm not going to do it. So, because I delivered it to you last week, and I'm disappointed that it's not on the wall yet. You're muted still. You just unmuted.
Kids are crying in the background, but yeah, I haven't even got it out of my car yet.
All right,
so I'm super lame. All right, see you. Thanks. Thanks everybody for joining.
Bye everybody.